Okay, so welcome back, everybody. In this short video, I thought I would sort of apply the idea of supply curve to something that we might think about, which is, in this case, the supply of Green Bay Packers tickets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw three different supply curves here. And I want you to think about them and decide which one of these would I use if I wanted to model the supply of Green Bay Packers tickets and why. So in the first supply curve, we'll do quantity and price. We'll do kind of a pretty standard supply curve. Upward sloping, has all the properties we would like. So we'll call that supply curve A, supply curve B, price and quantity. Make it horizontal. And for supply curve C, the quantity and the price, I'm going to make it vertical. So think about these, right? So think about each supply curve. Which one would best apply to the supply of Green Bay Packers tickets? So the answer to this question, I think, depends on what the time frame is. Okay, so let's say, for example, we mean this season. All right, well, the season by the time you're watching this is over. But let's say within a season, what would be the best supply curve? And I would say that the answer is really probably going to be something like answer C, or closer to answer C. Right, which means the supply curve is vertical. And there's actually a term for this. We're not going to focus much on this, so don't worry about it if the term is confusing, but you'll see it in your micro classes. The term for supply curve C is it's perfectly inelastic. And what that means is that supply doesn't respond at all to changes in the price, right? So you might think of this as a good representation in a season of the supply of Packers tickets because, I don't know exactly what Lambeau holds. It might not even be 70,000, but somewhere in there, I'll just call it 70,000 approximately, right? There's 70,000 seats. And in some sense, regardless of the market price, there's going to be potentially a supply of 70,000. Now, as the price changes, they may make more or less of those seats available, but generally speaking, we would expect them all to be available. So no matter what the price is, there's going to be roughly 70,000 seats. Now, demand is another story, and we can think about that as we put this all together. Now, if I was thinking long term, right, over time, comparing the supply of Green Bay Packers tickets in 1968 to the supply today, we're back to our regular old supply curve A, right? So yes, Lambeau has a fixed quantity of seats available right now. But as the price of those seats increases that the Packers organization can sell them for, the supply is going to gradually increase, right? They're going to add capacity to the stadium, the more valuable those seats become. So we've got a basic supply curve. It's upward sloping. That's supply curve A. And as the slope of that line kind of increases, gets really steep, or decreases and gets completely flat, you have different types of supply curves that might apply to different situations. Now, this is just kind of a fun video on the side. We won't get into the details of the slope nearly as much as you would in, say, principles of micro. So if you like thinking about this kind of stuff, for sure make sure you take principles of micro if you haven't already or aren't already signed up in the future. So that's what the supply of Packers tickets look like. That concludes our learning objective here, looking at supply, and we're going to move on to the next learning objective, which is to understand what shifts the supply curve.